Hi, my name is April Boyer. I'm a partner at an international firm called K&L Gates, and I have been involved with the Women's Fund since 2005 when I attended the very first Raise the Bar event. And starting in 2006, I started co-chairing Raise the Bar and have done so ever since. And in 2011, I joined the board of the Women's Fund and served a 7-year term. And I remain involved in the Women's Fund, participating in their events, as well as continuing to chair the Raise the Bar fundraiser. So when I first participated in the very first Raise the Bar event, I loved the fact that the fundraiser itself was dedicated to fighting human trafficking, sex trafficking, and domestic violence, things that I felt very strongly about and felt great about supporting. And that's why I then moved on to participate actively in the event, chairing it since 2006 with a variety of amazing men and women in the community. During the initial years with the Women's Fund, I really enjoyed working on the Raise the Bar fundraiser because human trafficking and fighting human trafficking and domestic violence were something that was always very important to me, that I want all women and children to have an opportunity to succeed and advance in society without risk of violence, without risk of harm, without risk of slavery, and being unable to make decisions about what they do with their lives on their own. And so I really enjoyed participating in a fundraiser that was fighting that cause, especially in South Florida, which has significantly high human trafficking rates and unfortunately high domestic violence rates. So I became involved in the Women's Fund because I was really passionate about those two issues. But I saw what the Women's Fund was doing at a more global level in our community related to raising women and children up, and realized that its mission of making women and children strong, independent, protected, and able to succeed on their merits as really important to our community. That if the women and children in our community felt like they had opportunities and they had security and they had educational paths forward and they were going to be free from violence and other economic oppressions, that we could have a very strong community in South Florida. And so from my work on Raise the Bar, which was focused just on domestic violence and human trafficking, I became interested in the Women's Fund's global objective of raising up women and children and protecting them in the community. And that encouraged me towards becoming a board member in 2011. And I have really enjoyed supporting the Women's Fund in these variety of ways, from simply donating to the organization to serving on the committees and serving on the board, because I really believe that a community that has a secure base of women and children has a great future. And I want the South Florida area, in particular Miami, where I live, to have a great economic, secure future for everyone, including women and children. Anytime that I attend an event sponsored by the Women's Fund, and I hear from the community leaders, as well as the beneficiaries of those organizations, about how those organizations have helped women and children advance and feel safe and secure in our community, I am moved by that every time. And that invigorates me to continue to support the Women's Fund in everything that I can do, because it is very important that we have strong women and strong children in our community. And when I hear the actual stories of how people's lives have been changed, I not only am often brought to tears by their personal stories, but I really realize how important the mission of the Women's Fund is. Professionally, part of my job is to be a litigator. And so as a result, I am very advocacy oriented in my professional life. And one of the things that really resonates with me is that the Women's Fund has moved from simply supporting through money local grassroots efforts to help women and children in the community, but we've really progressed towards an advocacy for change. And not only are we now helping grassroots efforts to support women and children in the community, but we are advocating for much bigger changes in our community that are going to have a long-term effect. One of the things I really was so supportive of and so pleased by was the Women's Fund's role in helping to change a lot of the community response to human trafficking. Something that I have a young daughter, and it's something that certainly, is quite frightening when you hear the stories of human trafficking, and that it's not something that happens in some remote part of the world, but happens in our backyard. And I really, really loved what the Women's Fund did and participated with a lot of other politicians and organizations and other community supporters and leaders and other voices, but we helped advocate for real change in that space. We've helped advocate for real change in pay equity and other issues in our community that tend to impact women and children more. And I'm really proud of the advocacy work that we have undertaken to help make a longer term change for our community. From a long-term perspective for the Women's Fund, I hope that the Women's Fund can really have a combination of benefits in our community, meaning that we can continue to help the grassroots efforts of organizations that are trying to change the lives of women and children every day, with people that are really sacrificing a lot of time and dedication to these efforts. And at the same time, I hope that we can continue to advocate for change in laws and rules and regulations and societal norms that can negatively impact women and children. Because if we have strong women in our community at every level, we will have secure children in our community, and we will have a great future in our community because of the strength that the women bring to our community. Thank you. Women's Fund means a great deal to me, including my involvement in the Women's Fund. I have always, throughout my life, believed that women should have equal opportunities to succeed in life, and that nothing should get in your way because of gender. And I now have a daughter who I want to make sure that is also true for. So I love what the Women's Fund is doing, not just for myself and my peers, but for the entire community and for my daughter and her friends who are going to be future leaders in our community.